And we are live. Hello, I'm here with
Hello! Ha-ha!
Dan, and he's excited to be here. And we're going to have a discussion
Love it.
about some Gamergate topics.
It's going to be
Um,
fantastic.
all right, Dan. Why don't you introduce yourself and tell us how you got involved with this whole Gamergate controversy?
Hello, I am Dan. I am an artist, illustrator. Been working for about 10 years, last 2 or 3 years freelance. And I got involved with Gamergate because, well, honestly, the first thing I saw about it was someone from the Yogscast yelling at Milo Yiannopoulos on Twitter. And I thought, what the hell is this? So I had a look, and I didn't really understand the article that Milo wrote. I thought he sounded like a bit of a jerk. But I looked into it more, and yeah, I was very sympathetic to Aaron's story that he had. It seemed to me that the media had it wrong, and that he had been emotionally abused by his ex-girlfriend, and now he was being smeared in the press for it, for speaking up. That's what initially drew me to the thing. I lurked for a while, and then in December I joined as a troll account impersonating Jonathan McIntosh, and that's how I started.
Cool. What kept you motivated to keep going for whichever advocacy you've been promoting?
Could you repeat the question, please?
Oh, sorry about that. What kept you going what kept you involved? What kept you motivated to keep using the hashtag, pushing certain ideals, etc.?
Well, first it was just a ton of fun. I was on holiday in December when I finally joined Twitter as an impersonating account. Yeah, it was lots of fun, and I love video games, and yeah, I hadn't touched video game journalism for a long time because, yeah, every time you go there, it's just, well, I don't know, it's just garbage and word of mouth, and YouTubers and Let's Players were where I was getting my info. So I know I thought it was very interesting to follow this controversy where people who actually were reading were getting upset about apparent conflicts of interest.
Yeah. Would you say that the ethical issues are the most important ones for you, or is there other reasons for being involved?
Yeah, well, so when I was doing the Gamergate thing, I've kind of pulled back a bit now, but yeah, it was mostly yeah, it would mostly be the conflicts of interest, the very close ties between journalists and particular game devs, seemingly doing favors for each other that didn't sit right with me. But at the same time, there was apparently a lot of people very upset with social justice, identity politics being brought into a lot of articles, and I can sympathize with that because, yeah, a lot of it had nothing to do with games. It was just like, what the hell are you talking about? This is like your own personal politics, which is, fine. But I feel like the mainstream game audience needs something that's, I don't know, needs more options. If all the blogs are having the same politics, the same opinions, it's a bit boring. There needs to be more variety. So I don't think that's an ethical issue. But I think it's more of a. Sorry, I'll just finish my answer quickly. I think it's just an issue with there's a big disconnect between the big game news sites and the people who play games, like the mainstream audience. I think right now the big games sites appeal to a particular niche. You could call them hipsters. You could call them social justice warriors. I don't know what you'd call them without sounding pejorative, but yeah, it's not the mainstream of people who play games.
Okay. That actually goes into an interesting point that I've realized over time, or rather, I think I've always had this position, but the mantra of it's about ethics, I think it's this is why exactly why I think it's short-sighted. The like a bigger issue just on the journalism front when it comes to enthusiast press reporting on games, reviewing games, etc. I would say that it has to do more with consumer advocacy than it does have to do with the ethical considerations, because you can have an ethical press outlet that is completely anti-consumer.
Excuse me. Yeah, possibly. I think they would be pro the consumers who are into their blog. So there are going to be people who are very interested in the kinds of topics they talk about. And honestly, the games they promote, excuse me, they're not all terrible. I know Phil Fish gets a large whipping from a lot of people on the internet because he's quite an abrasive personality. But I liked Fez. I thought it was all right. It's not the be all end all game. I just think it's a cute game. It has nice graphics, really nice music, and I don't know, it doesn't really take it too much away from my enjoyment that Phil Fish is a huge knob.
Yeah. I haven't personally
played. Oh, sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
I haven't personally played Fez, but it doesn't seem to be all that bad of a game. It just seems to be overly lauded, overly applauded, and celebrated as some kind of an art game. But I don't even think Fez qualifies as an art game based on my knowledge of the genre.
Well, I don't know. The ones that are called art games, I think most games are art. Like I say, AAA indie games, maybe not mobile or internet games. There's a lot less art there. But I think all games can be art and have art in them. But when you say art game, it's usually you're saying you've made a game that's more about the concept. Like it's meant to make you think or something. So I guess you'd call that like a high art game, maybe. I don't know. Is that a better genre? Art game just seems wishy-washy.
I know someone who could probably talk a bit more about art games, but I don't know if I could get her on here or not. But basically, from my understanding,
I used to play a few from. People used to make them for Newgrounds, and some of them were funny, some of them were interesting, some of them were pretentious crap. A lot of it is pretentious crap.
Oh yeah, like did you know there's a game where you play as a gator promoting hard right conservative values or something like that? You have to like pick up an arcade and put into a box that says game or not game, and it's just I forget what the game's called, but it was one of the games featured on Rebel Jam, and it was just wow. It was like
Rebel Jam existed.
In some capacity, to my understanding, yeah, there was a website for it. I think that Rebel Jam actually had an event. I'm not 100% sure. If I recall correctly, there was at least some motivation behind it. They do have a website, and they have all these games that are for free. You can pay optionally if you want, but the games that they're promoting, they're just such low-tier stuff that they're not even games, really, when you get down to it. And I wouldn't even call them art, for that matter, even if they are going to call them art games, because there's no amount of work or effort put into these things. You just slap together with Java and just put in some basic minimal graphics. I mean, some of them get really weird. Like there's a quote unquote game that's about spanking a guy for no other reason than it's just so weird.
Spanking.
Yeah, it's like that's all it is.
I know another game that I know got really ripped apart in Gamergate because it was mainly because of the laughable way that Feminist Frequency treated it. They said, here is a great female character, and it was this silent, very minimalist protagonist from Sword and Sorcery. I actually really liked that game, and I really love the art style. Close up, it does not look as amazing because it's a very minimalist pixel art. I happen to like it, but
so are we talking about the one
you look at it.
Are we talking about the person who actually was incentivized to buy a game based on the word Feminist Frequency?
Me?
Yeah, because some people did some charts.
I bought it. I bought it before. I'd known about it before. So Feminist Frequency wasn't my first thing, but like when I heard it, I was like, I liked the game, but like I don't know. And I did like that it was, hey, it's a female character, and it didn't make a big deal about it. But the thing is, Feminist Frequency is making a big deal about it, so it kind of makes me go,
Yeah, that she's quite a character.
Like, can we just have all this, like diversity is great, equality is great. Do we have to go on about it like, to a patronizing extent? Like, I'm sick of the news being like, this was the first female politician to use scissors to cut this ribbon in front of a particular building, and I think, oh, who cares? Who gives a damn? Like, can we ask that politician if she cares? Like, this is the first black woman who's won an Emmy. Like, okay, let's reduce her to be a black woman. Like, who gives a damn what her work was like? Let's talk about what color her skin is and what gender she is. Like, I don't know. I find that patronizing as hell.
It is, and it's because they have different value sets than we do. Like, we look at things like merit and stuff like that, or at least that's my position anyway. And other people go ahead and they just say, "Oh, well, this person gets a bonus because they're a minority or they're a woman, etc."
Right.
And that is something that I'm really against, because it goes into the equality of opportunity versus equality of outcome debate, which is what that debate should really be. It shouldn't really be feminist or MRA or whatever, et cetera. It should really be just those two positions and argue those points, rather than making a dick measuring contest between which group is better than the other. And that's a bit of a tangential issue. Like, I think I can agree with your views when it comes to the media reporting on games being a matter of consumer advocacy over ethics. Although I do find ethics very important, but the consumer advocacy approach is the one that I believe that that gamers should be taking, not the oh, well, we made her make sure they disclose this and that and the other thing, because all right, you got disclosures. Well, now they can just, now what? It doesn't really, it's not a solution to the problem. It's more like a Band-Aid more than anything else.
An ethical policy is a Band-Aid?
Yes. Basically,
because they won't necessarily follow the ethical policy, or because when they follow the ethical policy, they'll still not write things that the readers want?
There's 3 points to it. The first point is what you just said, that they won't follow the ethical policy. That has happened with, say, Polygon. Polygon has been shown to not follow its own code of ethics that they themselves put forth, that were also based on the SBJ guidelines, believe it or not. The second one is the guidelines they have can be twisted and molded to whatever they want it to be, so they can basically say, oh, well, this is the spirit of it. Oh, wait, well, it literally means this because of X, Y, and Z reasons. So there's also that. And the third reason being is Verril's Law. No set of ethical policies and guidelines.
Verril's Law?
Yes, it's basically...
He has a law?
Yes, he does.
Well done, Verrillo. That's amazing. That's fantastic. I don't have a law.
Maybe Dan's Law of shitposting will become a thing?
Maybe.
Anyway, Verril's Law basically refers to how no set of ethical policies and standards can get rid of all conflicts of interest. And he's correct, because basically you can get rid of a direct one. Like, say I was to write an article, say you were to make a game and I was like, oh, this is a cool game, I'm going to write an article about it, right? I would have to disclose that you and I were on a stream together. That's fine. But say that when someone in your circles wrote a game and I've been talking to you, maybe afterwards we talk behind the scenes, like, how does the public really know that there's not really a conflict of interest there? And to disclose the fact that I know someone who knows someone who, that third person I may or may not know, it's not a practical solution to put in the article. Full disclosure, this is the entire Twitter network map across the board. So that's where Verril's Law comes into play. It's what you don't see behind the scenes that you have to be wary of. Basically,
right, okay.
So when it comes to sites like Polygon, Kotaku, like, there's no redeeming them in my eyes. They need to be burnt down to the ground.
Okay. So what is burning these sites to the ground look like? Is the idea to take away their advertising until they're gone, or is it to just until they start writing articles that you find more palatable, I suppose?
Well, they can write whatever they.
Hold on, before you answer, I'd like to give a shout out to Kate. You were doing some fantastic fanfic in the comments there on YouTube. I'm really loving all the fanfic in there. That's great. That's great. That's fantastic.
It was
It's a
exceptionally
little bit
homosexual.
It's a little bit racy. It's a little bit racy, and I'm not going to lie. I enjoy that. I enjoy that. That's the kind of fanfic I like. Okay, sorry. Go on. Back to what is your end goal? So, like, you personally, what do you want to be the end goal of Gamergate? Like, do you say burn it all down? What does that mean?
Okay, when I say burn it all down, it means basically to discredit and remove the establishment of the people who are trying to colonize games with their agendas and anti-consumer practices, and basically supplanting what gamers want with what they want. And also, basically, it doesn't mean going about to these websites and making sure that they write what I want to write about, because I believe in freedom of speech. You can write about whatever you want.
Okay.
But that doesn't mean I have to. Go ahead.
Oh, no. So you keep going. Okay.
Although I believe in the right of freedom of speech, it doesn't mean I have to endorse what someone says or what someone does, whether that be financially or with adherence. Like, I don't have to regard Polygon or Kotaku's opinion when I'm writing an article. Like, screw them. I also don't have to click on their website, and I can also tell other people, hey, boycott this website. They write terrible articles, and they also are acting in the interest of the consumer. That's an agenda that we should be endorsing, and it's negatively impacting games, and it's also negatively impacting and affecting the image of gamers by building this strawman stereotype, most notably showcased in the Gamers Are Dead articles.
Right. Yeah. So I think that's particularly harmful, and like that the resurrecting of the old stereotype. I thought it was dead in since like when was what's his name, Jack Thompson around? Was that 2005?
Jack Thompson was earlier than that, actually. Jack Thompson's attack on gaming could be traced from the 90s into like a little bit into the late 2000s. It pretty much ended for him once he got disbarred as a lawyer, because even they were like, okay, this guy is so full of shit, we're getting rid of him. And after that, he has had no credence or clout or power.
Sweet justice.
Yep.
Now, with like, so the return of that stereotype, I find very strange. Very strange. It's clear that the people who made that kind of thing, like, those gamers, they actually thought that kind of gamer actually existed. Like, this stereotype it's real to a certain extent. So these particular writers, I think, weren't just being dishonest and defending their friend using dishonest means and whatever. They seem to actually believe that kind of thing. They think that they're newcomers to a medium that is that needs what would you call it, reformation. That they're the reformers. They're coming in to clean the place up because it's a pigsty and it's a boys' club or whatever.
Yep, that's exactly how they view themselves.
And I don't know. I don't like that, because the people who have that, seem to have that opinion, are the biggest blogs right now, the biggest news sites, and the mainstream news picks it up and perpetuates that crap. And I keep hearing that stuff. Like, it's good. I get to keep playing my games and whatever, but I don't like it when the mainstream media reports on what games media says as this is a fact, and then that filters into the moral panic groups, like in Australia. Collective Shout had a campaign to ban GTA 5 from Target. I don't know why the hell they wanted to do that, but they did. And it was all based on garbage that Anita Sarkeesian had been pushing, which is very upsetting, because
I completely agree. The circular citation issue is like that's another issue for journalism that goes right directly into journalistic. It actually ties into journalistic ethics and also some other issues. The main that is
how's that?
Basically,
that journalists have the responsibility to tell the truth.
The
Is that what you'd
responsibility
say?
to tell the truth as best as possible to the ability to the best of your ability.
Okay.
If you're using a site
Yeah,
like Polygon and Kotaku that have cultural criticism that isn't actually cultural criticism, it's just sophistry. It's basically, oh, this is from my personal perspective what I think of this culture. No, that's not how it works. You have to actually know and understand what you're talking about when criticizing cultures. If you don't, then you're basically, you can make up whatever you want. For instance,
Yeah.
like
So they don't do criticism very well because it does seem like they're very much outsiders. But I don't think that means they don't enjoy games, and I don't think it doesn't mean that their audience are not gamers. I think there are gamers who are into the social justice kind of things, like, and I don't think social justice is bad per se. I think more the witch hunt style, zealous. You know,
for me, it's the hypocrisy. Like I don't
don't
really, yeah, I don't have a problem with social justice activists, but I do have a problem with social justice warriors, which are basically leftist
warriors. The
Yeah.
ones who want to get people fired because they disagree with them on the internet. That's the kind of thing I don't like.
When it comes to getting people fired, there are times when calling for someone to be fired is not an appropriate response. I have no
Really?
problem.
Like
Yeah.
if they're not doing their job, you mean, or
If
what's
if they're not competent at their job, like if a journalist expresses an opinion that I don't like, that's not really an issue. But if they can't do the basic
Right.
amount of work to get the job done, then that person should be fired. They should look for other work elsewhere because they're clearly not competent in their field.
Is there anyone, like any game journalist, you think fits this descriptor?
Most of them, I'm gonna say. If you want me to name specifics,
Okay, so they should all get fired. Okay, specifics.
not all, but if I want to name specific people, I would say Ben Kuchera, Arthur Guys, Stephen Totillo, Ezra Klein. If we're going to go outside the games journalism, Leigh Alexander definitely needs to be out of a job, though. That's pretty much already set in stone at this point, given the grand success of Offworld. Like when you're doing worse than Ralph Retort, you've got issues. And yeah, it's like people who have been proven to not only make mistakes, because journalists make mistakes. I've made, like, for instance, I've done acts of journalism and I've made mistakes. But I go back and I correct them because that's what journalism is. You can't have you can't possibly know everything. And when you're doing a story or something like that, sometimes you get something wrong or you leave something out because not because you didn't try to get everything there, but because you couldn't have possibly in a reasonable time.
I'm super distracted by Kate's beautiful story here. Can I read it out, please?
Okay. Go ahead.
Once upon a time, there was a young man named Dan who had skin white as snow. It's not actually white, Kate. It's a bit tan. I do live in Australia. All day, he would clean around the palace for his evil stepmom. I do live in a palace, that's true. One day, he was singing by a well with the birds when a prince on a white horse felt entranced by the singing. He rode up to the palace to find Prince Dan singing, fixing his hair in the reflection. He knew the song. It was an old lullaby. He began to sing along, dismounting his horse. Dan was frightened and turned, surprised that someone had found him. Hi, I'm John. But Dan panicked and hastily moved away from the well, away from the prince. You shouldn't be here, he stuttered. Wait, I just want to talk. But Snow Dan held onto his skirt and ran away. He sighed, watching him run. This is fantastic. Please, Kate, post more. Okay.
Would you believe this is like the third or fourth fanfic that was written about me in the course of this? And yes, all the partners were of the same sex. Yes.
Nice.
I just find it hilarious. Anyway, where was I? I had a train of thought. Oh, right. When it comes to journalists who repeatedly fail at their jobs and not only lie, but maliciously do so, and when they're told that they've made mistakes, they don't bother to correct them, those journalists, they're terrible journalists. They suck at their jobs, and they deserve to be thrown out and fired.
Okay. So I think I would agree with certain journalists seem to be incompetent, and they just have massive, terrible, like, just conflicts of interest that just they should never have written. So I look at someone like Patricia Hernandez, who is just, my goodness, absolutely terrible with COIs all over the place. If I was a boss, I would fire her.
Yep.
But I guess, those establishments, I guess, don't really have a problem with that kind of thing. I don't know, they are friends with all those people, I guess, and they just think, well, we're not really journalists, so we don't need to have ethics, and that's their point of view. Now, what happens? I guess like if the end goal of Gamergate is to make all these journalists get fired and just burn the whole thing down, what happens when the sites don't change? Like we like Kotaku and Polygon are still around. Lee, she's a blog now. That's hilarious to me. But her numbers, I don't know what her numbers are really are, because most people going to see her her articles would be looking at it on Boing Boing, would they not? Not necessarily clicking through to Offworld. I don't know. But if that's true, then she her numbers might be higher than people have thought. I just wonder, in the face of the fact that a lot of these the big games journalism places are not seemingly budging their position despite losing money from advertising, despite having to update their ethics with the FTC's new rules, despite all this, they're not budging. Should people in Gamergate continue the fight? I guess whatever that fight might be.
Kind of difficult for me to answer that question, but probably because I'd frame it a different way. But essentially, the biggest boon that Gamergate has done, like the best accomplishment that Gamergate has really done, it's not ethical policies, it's not email campaigns, which email campaigns is something that I actually disagree with Verlo on, and I'm hoping I can actually have a discussion with him at some point about that. But one thing I will agree with him on is that the negative PR and the awareness of how terrible these websites are, to the point where they're like, Kotaku's name at this point is synonymous with mud. They're basically like, it won't once. Yeah, them and Gawkers. We have really, really hurt their reputations in the public sphere and their eyes. Like even when things just die down, doesn't seem like anything's happening. We had that Gawker case where I forget the article. I should know this off the top of my head. Where they outed a gay man, although that wasn't the specific ethical violations, but I digress.
Yeah, I don't even remember what the I think it turned out that was like it was a fake setup or something by a troll, or I don't know what it was, but like they printed tweets to show that some company head, or was it a CFO, was in an illicit relationship, and I don't know. I found that terrible just because it was like, I don't know. Not only you're publishing information that nobody needs to know about, not only is this unverified, but the family has to deal with this thing. Like, if you really cared about this situation,
the objection
you would have contacted the family. You would not have just done this, been in this smear campaign.
Yeah. The problem for me wasn't the like a lot of people criticize that, and I find for all the wrong reasons. The reason I find it wrong was because it was dishonest. It was lying. It was it wasn't okay. It wasn't like it was one of those lies where, oh, well, this is the truth in a certain point of view, where basically we take the word of an anonymous source who says he has all this information, don't release this guy's name, so that way the public can't verify the accuracy of the credibility of that guy's word, and they just go ahead and they publish a story, and it turns out that, oh, the source was just notorious liar. And when they talk to the guy about it, he's like, well, this is ridiculous. I don't know this guy. This is all made up. Like, I don't know if the guy was actually gay or not, but the fact of the matter was that this was a fabricated story for the sake of, and you're right, it was for pushing an agenda. But I don't find I don't find it necessarily unethical to push an agenda, unless, of course, pushing the agenda requires you to lie, color the truth, or not, or be dishonest. Like, and when I say honest, it's not just telling the truth; it's telling as much pertinent information in regards to a story as possible. If you fail to do this, you're not doing your job as a journalist, and that was.
Sorry, I'm just laughing at someone's comments at you. Oh man. Holy shit, Dan, you sound like a massive fucking faggot for an Aussie. Can't even defend or articulate your own point. Holy shit, kill yourself with your new BF, John, in some suicide pact. Fantastic.
Auspac, you'll always be my number one. Calm down.
I love YouTube. It's great.
Yeah, but anyway, that was one thing that was one sort of kind of criticism I had with the people who were reacting to that. Like, it wasn't an ethical violation that they quote unquote outed somebody, and it wasn't an issue of like when it comes to requesting for comment. Like, this is something I thought of about. I had to think about a lot before coming to this conclusion on this. But when it comes to requesting for comment, it can be not requesting for comment can be a lack of due diligence in certain situations. However, there's other times where requesting for comment can compromise a story. I don't find it to be an ethical. Yeah. I don't find it to be an ethical requirement that you have to request for comment in order to write a story about someone or something.
Honestly, I don't think you should have to. I think it's the best. Well, I think this is like it's an ethical thing. It's not a legal thing. It's I think it's a legal thing in some countries, but just ethically, I think, and by ethically, I don't mean just doing the right thing. I mean doing the best job for your readers. If you don't talk to the people who are involved in a thing and you don't get to hear their side of the story, you're only telling the side that whoever talked to you, whoever gave you the secret information wants you to know. So if you don't chase up all the leads, your audience is going to suffer for that. They're going to get a crap article that's full of lies or
potentially. Potentially, yes.
Potentially, your source could be completely right, but if you don't ask anyone for comment, then it's one-sided, and people, you could be just the unwitting dupe for whoever is trying to smear someone else.
I think I agree with you in principle, but where I disagree with is that you need to send a request for comment first as opposed to the right of reply. I am a believer in the right of reply, and that's my position. Is when it comes to a story, especially when if you're talking about someone and they write you if I write an article about someone and I talk critically of them, or maybe even I talk positively about them, if they later come to me with like their perspective, their side of the story, I would update the article with that. I would just go, okay, this is what this guy had to say said to me in response. Here you can judge for yourself, or something along those lines, and I would put that into the article. That's how I'd handle it personally. That was actually a dispute I had with Ralph for a while, where basically he said he made up, he took someone's word that I leaked to Streamlink, and he was going on about. I'm like, hey, well, Ralph, I didn't do this, and he was like,
was this the thing where Robin Gething posted somewhere and then a bunch of trolls came in?
Actually, yeah, this is the first time he did that. He did this twice now. Yes, and the first time I became the fall guy for that, and that was like, what?
Yeah. So, yeah.
But that's a very microcosm.
So with right of reply and asking for comment, I tend to conflate those two in my head. So I guess right of reply would be a follow-up article to what you've posted already. And I think, asking for comment is better than right of reply. It's like, but this is what I've written. This is what I found out from these other sources. Do you have any comment on it?
Let me pose a hypothetical.
Okay.
Say that you're doing some investigative work and you find this big industry scandal, and you're doing some digging, and you're going around asking people who are in a particular industry or field or something like that about a scandal, and you basically uncover all this stuff, and it involves someone who's really big and who has a lot of power, like media power. And you're going to publish a story, and you're thinking, well, do I request for comment from the guy that I'm going to basically sink, right? And when I say sink, let's just assume that you're not writing an editorial. Let's just say that you're just going to present all the facts to the public in an objective manner. When you do this, if you contact the guy with the request for comment before you publish the story, might that not compromise your investigative work and the article itself because he could basically do some subversive tricks to undermine the story.
You mean like he could publish something first to throw off people, or do you mean he'd destroy evidence or something?
Both.
Both? Okay.
Either or.
Yeah, that sounds interesting. Yeah, that's an interesting point. Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly why I think that that's why I think that request for comment is kind of situational. Like if it's a he said she said situation, like with the Gawker article, yeah, that guy should have sent a request for comment in that one. I would completely agree with you there because that would be his due diligence. Like, hey, is this story like, I got one side of the story, but maybe I should get the other side of the story too. And also choosing to leave one name anonymous and the other guy, he just put his blast name out there. No, that's not good at all. That's basically having different sets of standards for different people when you're writing a story. With
anonymous sources, I think there's got to be a reason for the source to be anonymous. It can't just be because they just want to be anonymous. It has to be because they have fear of reprisal, and you think that's a reasonable fear. Like if if they're just saying, "Oh, I don't want my name to be out there because I don't want this person to know that I did it." Well, I don't know. I don't think that's good enough.
I agree with you there.
Other journalists have to be able to contact to verify, and if there are illegal claims being made, geez, police should be involved at some point. Come on.
Yeah, it's a matter of at that point it's a question of due diligence, but that is a case of due diligence. And even if like a reporter wants to claim that he's being ethical to his standards and stuff like that, well, okay. But then I can turn around and say that the quality of his journalistic work is poor, and sloppy journalism can be worse than unethical journalism.
Yeah, perhaps. Yep.
Yeah, like the two aren't the two. I don't view the two as synonymous.
No, I don't think. Yeah, I'm not sure what you can do about sloppy journalism. Just like you let the company know that you don't like it, and if they don't listen to you, you take your business elsewhere, you read other things, or as I think is probably the best direction for Gamergate people to go now is make your own things, make your own blogs. All these big sites, they were tiny at one point. They were just a blog somewhere by someone. They were anti-establishment at some point, and now they are the establishment.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, they grew bigger and bigger, and their style and their standard of reporting has caught up to them.
Yeah, I actually agree with you there. I think that one thing that people could really do right now is become their own games journalists and critics. Like just
so I see like people like doing YouTube shows about games, about journalism, and like even like commentary on the stuff that's going on, like Mr. Opinions. So Tim has made the Harmful Opinions things, and I think that's a cool show. Full disclosure, I did do the logo, and I probably will be doing some more work for him later, but yeah, I'd like that kind of thing. I want more people making their own YouTube shows, making their own websites, doing positive things, making their own games. Like a bunch of people in Solution 6 Months doing game dev. Some people are just like they're like, oh, look at this thing. It's not that great. I was hoping to be better. And it's like, well, you didn't even know how to model 2 weeks ago. Look at you now. Like you're doing stuff, and that is really, I find that to be like one of the most positive games related things that that Gamergate people are doing right now, and even non-Gamergate people, because Solution 6 Months it's not exclusive to people who are all about the gate. I
actually agree.
I really like that, and I want to see more. I want to see more game devs, more people making content for games and about games. That'd be fantastic.
I actually like Solution 6 Months. The only criticism I really have for them, and it doesn't apply to all of them, it applies to It applies to some of them though.
Okay.
Some of them have taken up anti-consumer stances, where basically an ethical issue.
What is anti-consumer to
Okay.
you?
I'm just gonna go right into it. Sargon's Kickstarter thing.
Yes.
Okay.
I know vaguely about it. I did read Verilo's thing. I was not hugely impressed with his article, but I don't know. Yeah, go ahead.
The problem with the Necromancer Kickstarter, ultimately it comes down to he promised a game at a certain date, and he crowdfunded this money, and he got like all this stuff going to the project that he said would come at a certain date, and he said it was in development, was going to be done by this such and such date, and he didn't deliver. And not only did he not deliver, he put it off for 17 months. This is egregious because it's the reason why it's anti-consumer is because Sargon did not offer refunds. Like when you fuck up on that level, you need to refund your backers. Like it doesn't matter that he's still developing the game now. That option should be available to them. Now, if he offers the option and the consumers decide, all right, you know what?
Can we back up a bit? Why should he offer refunds? Because he's late.
Because he's yes.
Okay. Why do you say that? Just because you think it's good for consumers to refund something that's late, or because is it like part of an agreement somewhere, or is it just business practice, like good business practice?
It's a good business practice, and it's also the reason why it's anti-consumer specifically is because when you put your money into something like say a pre-order, say that there's a game out there, it's released, and it says we're going to announce this game this such and such date, and you pre-order it, you're expecting to get the game at that time. Like the pre-order deal is already bad for the consumer because there's no reason for you to pre-order something, but that's a bit of a tangential point. When you do that, you're basically giving them a loan, and it's interest free. You're not getting anything back from it, and it doesn't deliver. So the longer that's money down the drain. You're supposed to pay money for products, and not the product isn't coming in time as promised. And
I suppose that's part of the risk that you run if you support a crowdfund sort of thing. And it's I don't know. Development can take all sorts of turns. It gets it's interesting, the crowdfunding, because you don't have the same amount of pull as a crowd as perhaps a big producer might have, like a singular producer. He's got millions of dollars and he said, okay, I'm going to support your project. He's going to have a lot more pull than a crowd of nobodies who donated $5. That's just I guess that's just the way things are. So it's interesting to see how that works out with crowdfunding, because wow, $3.3 million dues down the drain with well, not down the drain, but with Double Fine and what was that, Broken
Age? Yeah, that game
Age.
That was
so
complete
half. So late, half of it was fairly good. The other half a little bit I guess below expectations. I haven't played it yet. I haven't bought it. I actually got gifted it by someone who was disappointed with it, and they just gave it to me. Thanks, whoever that was. I forget who it was, but yeah, you're the real MVP. You're a cool guy.
Yeah. The issue that I'm having when it comes to crowdfunding, when I'm talking about these kinds of issues, is not in this case, but like someone in the chat was saying, "Oh, it's not a loan, it's a gamble." Well, that's an awfully semantical argument. It doesn't make my point any less valid. It's anti-consumer to basically hold money for no other reason than, oh, well, I didn't do my job. I didn't fulfill my promise that the game would be released a certain time. You can phrase it however you want, but it's just going to come down to an anti-consumer practice.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. It's really, I find that I find it, I don't know, too iffy. I can't really make a hard stance on it. Speaking of hard stances, we've got some more fanfic here from Kate. Mirror, mirror on the wall, who has the sugariest tits of them all? She asked the mirror. And the mirror showed Dan running away from the prince, fixing his hair. She grunted, pissed off. Why aren't my tits the most sugary? Kill her to be the most sugary, the mirror said. Oh, awesome idea, man. and she ran down to her evil lair and asked her henchman, Kate, to bring back Dan's heart in a box she gave her. This is sounding very similar to another story, but I'm really liking the changes that you've made, Kate. This is pretty good. Oh, it continues further down. Kate went to attack Dan out by the garden. Slowly taking out her dagger, she raised it, but she couldn't bring herself to kill another human. Dan turned around and shrieked, throwing his arms over his. Oh, she dropped the dagger and told him to run. What? Dan said. Run, go! And he grabbed his skirt and ran away. Then the prince found out what a faggot the evil stepmom was and killed her. Chased down Snow Dan and married him. The end. No Apple bullshit. Oh, okay. I guess that's the end. All right, cool. Oh, right. We got another one, but I'll read that later.
Okay. Back to like what I was talking about, but getting back to Solution 6 months. I do support it because I see the indie scene being. It's basically there's a lot of astroturfing going on with the indie scene. The progressive types build up these organizations like the GDC, the IGDA, that say, oh, we're all about developer outreach. You don't need developer outreach. It's completely retarded. You make a good game, you sell the game, you get money for the products you make. It's basic capitalism. You don't need to go out of your way to get new developers and stuff like that. Like if you want to do that, just say, hey, this is what gaming's like.
I don't think they promote new developers anyway, do they? Like, they just seem to be promoting each other. It's a bit of a circle jerk. Another reason to make new outlets, make new awards shows, or whatever you want to do, whatever thing.
I'd be fine with it if they had the credibility and the clout that they espouse to have. The IGDA and the GDC, the people there, they don't know games industry. They know a lot about progressive social issues that they want to advocate for, but they're not about games. They're just there to push advocacy over entertainment. And that's really what's killing games at the moment. Across the board. It's slowly affecting the AAA scene. It's pretty much burnt down the indie scene for the most part. Like you really can't say that the entire indie scene.
I'm not hugely pessimistic. I think AAA is, they're pretty unstoppable. I mean, it's like the people protesting Hollywood movies. Like, nothing's going to happen if Hollywood finds something profitable. They're going to keep doing it, and I think the same is true for AAAs. With the indie scene, now that's where they have their real power. But I think you got new devs, you got devs that don't like that kind of stuff, and they're kind of glad that Gamergate happened because they think, oh, there's consumers out there who don't want me to pander to this this particular group and their very specific set of views. And I think that's another good thing that has happened because of Gamergate. Okay, I'll just stop there because I've forgotten exactly where I was going. It
happens to me all the time, man. Anyway, what I was getting at was but when you were saying with the AAA scene that's not affected by this, I have a perfect example and counter argument to this. The Assassin's Creed games. Last year, around I believe it was July, June, whenever that E3 conference happened, they announced this is a new Assassin's Creed game and it's going to have multiplayer and look at all these cool features. And what was everyone upset about? No female characters. Everyone got
I think there was something blown out of proportion. I think someone said someone asked a dev, why don't do you have female characters? And he made some offhand comment like, nah, we didn't have time to do the animations for them. And people were like, what? So you didn't have time? What? How different do women move to men? You could have just used the men animations for. And they just made it a big deal out of nothing.
Yeah.
So you'd be saying, like the next year they I don't know. I don't think the next thing where they're like, okay, yeah, we have female characters. I don't think that was pandering because like these projects are in development for years. I don't think that upset really had much to do with how they did things.
Well, the evolution of how that. The evolution.
Like for instance, like when they're all crowing, the E3, they're like, oh look, look at all these female leads. They're saying "F you" to Gamergate or whatever, and people just like pointing out Well, actually, there's less female leads than last year, and also these games are in development for months and years. You think they were specifically made to get upset at a bunch of angry nerds on the internet? Like, do you think this was like the big middle finger to the horrible goober gators? I don't know.
Yeah. But
I think it's hard to judge what their motives are.
True. But I don't think it's too hard to judge what their motives are in this case, like the people who are pushing for the female characters and stuff like that. Because what happened with Assassin's Creed, that game was a flop. It wasn't because there was no female characters, because it was a terrible game and there was a lot of anti-consumer practices in it, like the DLC and
glitches. That was
that too.
Wow, fantastic! Just nightmare fuel with the screenshots I was seeing of the glitches, the face just completely missing, but the mouth, like the inside of the mouth graphics still being there, and the eyes, just it looked like that B movie, The Terror, just the terrifying skeletons and like people, their flesh melting off the bone. Wow. Actually, no, you know what? I'm glad that happened. I'm glad that glitch existed. That was hilarious to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the point
that's got to suck as a dev, like, you know, just one of the devs just working on that for so long, and then it comes out and immediately all the players playing it get this problem that you did not find in testing, because bleeding Ubisoft's got to have something that comes out every year.
Well, in that case,
that franchise is just
man, I would blame.
Really gonna suck. I felt really bad seeing their apology video where they're like, "Oh, we're sorry, guys. We screwed up. Here, have a new game. We promise this one won't suck."
Well, if they apologized for it and they actually tried to what's the I'm trying to find the word for it, but if they apologized for it and tried to make amends with their consumers, then I would say thanks for trying. Like, yeah, that would be my response to that. I'm far less sympathetic to developers who fuck up on such a scale like that. But that's more of a tangential issue to the point I was making.
Okay.
Right. Well, after the game flopped, cut to 2015. The new Assassin's Creed game has announced that they're going to have a transgendered character as the main lead in the story.
Oh, really? Oh, yes, I remember seeing that. I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah. The thing is, it's like, that doesn't work for Assassin's Creed, though. The reason it doesn't work is because it goes against because it doesn't go with the archetype of the Assassin's Creed characters, the dashing rogue stereotype, and it's very, very hard to do it as a female. And the writing of the Assassin's Creed games, we know it's
not sure I agree with that. So is it a transgender man or a transgender woman, or and how are they trans? Is it like cross-dressing, or what is it? Like, what are they?
I'm not sure really, because this is a game that takes place in a medieval time period, and like, you know,
a medieval time period. Okay, yeah. So it's, I guess it would be cross-dressing, maybe. I don't know. Have they already, like, if that counts as trans, wouldn't the that female pirate pretending to be a dude count? That one in Black Flag, what was her name?
Well, if they're gonna start calling cross-dressers trans, that's
well, some people do. I honestly have no strong opinions about that. I know some of my friends hate that, but yeah.
Yeah, when it comes,
some people do consider it.
Well, that's actually an interesting segue for a second. There is actually a dispute in the LGBT communities between the cross-dressers and the trannies. There's really this conflict. I'm not joking. Okay. Basically, at gay pride parades now, cross-dressers are not allowed to participate as cross-dressers. They have to identify as trans, or they're banned. I'm not kidding.
Yeah, I think I saw that one particular parade said that they were going to ban drag queens because it was offensive to trans people. I thought that was hilarious. Yeah. Oh, can I read out another fan fiction here? This one's a little bit more racy. Okay. Nobody understood their attraction. Lee and John met at PAX South. They had a few beers, and Lee had somehow led him away to the bathroom. She pushed him into a stall with a grin, and he giggled. She pounced on him and shoved him against the wall of the stall, and their hands fumbled with each other's clothing. Scroll, scroll, scroll. There we go, back down. Oh, man, I missed it. Where is it? I'm having trouble with this scrolling. Oh, how embarrassing. Here we go. I'll show you my ethics, Lee muttered into his ear. Kelly squeezed Lee's spongy butt cheeks. She got on her knees and gave a handy blowy. Fantastic prose. And John had a weird orgasm / laugh. Oh, great. Lee pulled down her skirt, and John licked his lips, but the beer was too much and he passed out right in between the boobs. Lee was dazed and confused for a moment, then she fell back, throwing up everywhere, and they both lay passed out and covered in semen and bath on the bathroom floor. Then they were never allowed back in PAX ever again. The end.
That's just hilarious.
Ungrounded Axiom has given that a 6 out of 10 because there was no group sex. Okay. Fantastic.
Yeah. Well, the point I'm making is the AAA.
Hi, Ralph. I love you.
Yeah, I can see Ralph's in there, and they're disputing over the ethics and blocking on Twitter, which, like, I've actually gotten to that kind of dispute, which to me, because I believe in free speech and all that, I don't block people. I find it hypocritical to block somebody while saying I'm for free speech, but I don't want to listen to this guy. No, that doesn't make any sense to me.
I guess I don't think free speech means a person has to be forced to listen to someone. I find it funny when someone's like, haha, you blocked, like, so-and-so blocked me, and it's like, but you're blocking me. What's your point? So, I don't know, I went through a block frenzy because of, I was in a terrible mood. I was very upset. And a bunch of people were coming up saying, hey, don't be upset. And it's like, that is the wrong thing to say right now. And I just lost it, and I blocked a lot of people. I unblocked them all now. I'm sorry, guys. I'm really sorry.
Yeah,
and
like
I won't do it again. Love and smooches.
Yeah, there is an acceptable drowning out the noise that is not in conflict with free speech, because there's practical limitations.
Yeah, I just mute people who, I don't know, who are just there to be, I don't know, unpleasant to me. It's like, yeah, okay, you can keep talking, and I'll allow you to be able to see my tweets or whatever it is. You know, you can sign out anyway. But I don't know. I don't want notifications from you all the time. If you're being an awful person to me, I don't want to hear it.
I don't mind if people mute me, like, temporarily. Like, I don't have a problem with that. Like, a lot of times I'll be having an argument with someone, and it'll be this is a case where it'll be like, it's extremely autistic, either because the other person's being stubborn or I'm being stubborn or whatever. And not everyone wants to read through that, especially if it doesn't involve them. So if they don't care about that and I'm not actually contacting them, then go ahead and mute. But the reason why I don't like the whole blocking thing and then just saying that you're for free speech is because you're basically removing an avenue for discourse and exchange of ideas.
I guess. I mean, people have Twitter for different reasons. Like, some people are just there to have fun. Some people are just there to talk to their friends and follow a few celebrities. Like, I'm not going to force them to talk to me. I don't think that's freedom to force someone to talk to you.
Oh, well, here's my take on that. Like, if someone wants to send me shit and stuff like that, let them go ahead. But I'll listen to you, but I don't have to engage. Like, if it's really just a case of someone being like, well, why didn't
Hold on. Ozfag is saying very mean things in the chat, and I'd just like to say, I love you. I love you, Ozfag. You're a beautiful person, and I respect you. And may I compliment your nose? It is angelic and possibly Romanesque. I don't know. I don't know what your face looks like.
Yeah, I think he's actually posted some photos on his Twitter. Not 100% sure.
Oh, hold on, Kate's got a new fanfic coming in. I'm not sure if it's finished yet. Ralph purred into John's ears and held him close. Hey, baby cakes. He ran his fingers down his front and played with his jeans buttons. Hey, don't leave me out, @symbol, Dan shouted, coming over. I guess that's it for now. Kate, please keep writing. I enjoy your work.
Anyway, there was a few points I've lost here. All right, AAA scene. Well,
by the way, everyone go to ralphretort.com.org/live for the most recent of news about hits and cool things. You're welcome, Ralph.
Anyway, the AAA scene I do see is actually slowly being affected by it, and it's not necessarily a social justice aspect of it, but it's the making games less gamey. Like the whole point of a game is to
You
challenge-
mean like more cutscenes and things, or
that's part of it. Yes,
or making
control,
things easier?
less control, less player agency, and less challenges for the player to face in the game.
Yeah, I know. I don't feel like I'm seeing that a lot. To me, I feel like there's definitely a decrease in difficulty, or they're trying to make things more accessible because, well, there's a wider consumer base now. It used to be a particularly niche market, and it's just exploded. And now everyone in the world is basically playing games, from the Pope to your grandmother. And yeah, I think that there should be all kinds of games, and that, like, if you want to appeal to a broad audience, you need to make games have a variety of difficulty levels, or at least have an easy mode, I guess. And I can understand that's going to upset a lot of diehard people who really like super hard games, and you can see that backlash in the indie scene. There's things like Super Meat Boy and what have you. Things that have a fair level of difficulty to them. They're Nintendo hard again.
Yeah, I would say that is that is actually a bigger concern in like in gaming right now than a lot of people realize. Like, dang it, I'm at a loss for words again.
Oz, you will not tell me what to do. Thank you very much. I will advertise Ralph every single day.
Ralph is I'm not gonna lie, I actually do like Ralph's work, and I think, and the reason the reason why I'm not as critical on Ralph as other ESA loves, because he's got some issues, like, and I've told him about this. Like, I think that he doesn't follow up, like I think that he doesn't do enough following up on his stories he writes. Like, when people bring relevant facts to his information, he's
okay.
He's,
Fair point.
Yeah, he's not doing.
Hold on, Kate's continuing her fan fiction. This is fairly important. I'll let you get back to it. The two got into a 69, and Dan ate out Ralph's ass. Then he did a rim job on the other man. Then Ralph got up and ate Dan's ass. And Dan ate John's ass, and it was a big train of ass eating. Dan, I'll put this fanfic in Skype. It's easier to read. Oh, okay. I'll move over to Skype then. Thank you very much.
All right, we'll get back to that in a second. My criticism for Ralph is, as a journalist, he needs to improve. He needs to up his game. As a pundit, I think that as a pundit, he works a lot better because he doesn't hold back on his opinions. But he needs to for example, the Leo Pirate controversy, where Leo Pirate was like, "Yeah,
oh, I love that stream. That was just that was hilarious. I loved the beginning where Ralph was very smug about being wrong. He thought he discovered this big conspiracy. He was very smug about it. I loved that bit. And then I think it was like 2 hours, 30 minutes into it. It just he and King of Pole got very angry at each other. A lot of shouting back and forth, and then Leo Pirate came in and just very calmly demolished what Ralph had to say. And wow, what an
Ralph's
ending!
streams are never boring.
What an ending! I mean, I'm so glad someone saved that, because can you think about what that could have been lost forever, like tears in rain.
Yeah, that was
we get to enjoy that forever, don't we?
Yeah, we do. That was a really bad move on Ralph's part by deleting that stream. He should have just kept it up. If you fuck up, just don't hide it. Just say, okay, yeah, I made a mistake, and then move on.
Yeah, I agree. I see. I'm not hugely I don't really read Ralph a lot. I think I've read like one or two of his articles. I haven't been hugely interested because back in the day, December and whatever, most of the articles were just like things that I'd already seen on Twitter already. So I was like, eh. But I think he's got a sizable reader base. I think I don't think he has to change his opinions or whatever to because he's got his audience. He knows what he's appealing to, and his audience likes it.
I wouldn't ask for him to change.
I don't have a huge problem with that. I just think that if he's going to be part of a part of a revolt that's asking for better journalism, he could be part of that himself, because I think some of the practices he has are not, well, they're not perfect for it. Like they're not great for his readers. Like just from that purely from a business standpoint, he's going to be misleading readers just by not following things up, as you said. I think.
Yeah, I'm not going to fault Ralph for his opinions, but I will say that he does act in a journalist. He is a journalist to some degree. He's not a great journalist, but he's a
news source. He you can say personal blog and whatever to your blue in the face, but like if you're putting out if you're a news source to an audience of I don't know, it's a bit, this is where it gets a bit wishy-washy. It's like you're putting yourself out like as a news source to an audience. I feel like you kind of owe it to yourself and to your readers to get it right.
Right.
News hit until the cows come home. I don't care, but like, I don't know. That's just a bit of constructive criticism I've got. Like, I really don't hate Ralph. I do find it funny that he has me blocked on Twitter, but sometimes Dot replies me.
That
when he like name searches me, or someone retweets it into his feed what I've said. Like I've said something salty or vinegary about whatever like his how he works, and he's just coming in there and said, "Well, I don't give a fuck," and whatever. But like, why are you coming to tell me on Twitter? What are you doing?
He makes a similar mistake that Sargon makes, where he doesn't have an appropriate. He's
sorry. There's a. I got to look at Skype. Kate is posting more things.
Before you read that off, to finish my point. Ralph is a blogger, yes, but he's also a journalist because he's delivering news to the people. Like you can be both. It's like a blogger is someone who posts stuff on the internet. That's what a blogger is. A journalist is someone who takes the news and presents it to the who researches the news and delivers it to the public, and that's what Ralph does. He's mostly feeding off of what other people are saying and doing. That is true. The investigative work is mostly other people, but he's still That's why I say that he has to improve his standards. I don't hate Ralph, but he does need to improve, and that's the criticism I have for him. And as the other criticism I have for him is, he doesn't have he often does not take criticism well, and his ego gets in the way of some of his principles. Unfortunately,
and I'm friends with people who also have trouble getting criticism. Like I think everyone does to a certain extent. It's hard to hear that you're doing things wrong. It's pretty bad.
Yeah.
But I think for the good of your own business, you got to sometimes you just got to suck it up. Like if I have someone commissioning a bit of artwork from me and I return them the sketch for whatever they've asked for, and they say I don't like the nose, I'm not going to say, "Oh well, screw you, you're getting it." Well, I'm going to change it because, well, they're not going to be happy with the piece. I'm not going to be happy with it myself. I don't want to give someone a piece of art that they're going to hate. So I don't know. And I guess maybe my criticism of Ralph can ring a bit hollow because, I'm not his reader. I'm not his audience. But I don't know. Maybe he can find it helpful. Like I think he'd make his business better. Because I think I saw him say that he wanted to do it full time or whatever. Maybe he could. Like, I don't know. Like, even though my criticism might be taken as a bit of, it's disingenuous or whatever because I'm not a reader or
no, it's not disingenuous. I'd say I would say that
it could be taken that way though, and I understand that. But I genuinely think that it'd be good for his business to do certain things. Did you have anything else to say on that point, or can I go back into one of Kate's excellent fanfics that we've got here?
Yeah, I'll move on from Ralph in a second, but I will say this: he is getting better. He is actually taking criticism a lot better than he was, say, back in March, and he is actually.
Oh, was that the infamous drunk stream?
Yes, that stream.
Oh boy.
Yeah, and I'm actually glad that he actually left that one up and never took it down.
Did he leave it up?
Yes, he did. Like
Oh,
most,
that's
like
interesting. Okay.
yeah, I
I thought he
fully
took-
expected him to just take it down and like try to like cover it up, but he decided nope, just gonna leave it up there. Which
Okay.
to his credit, that's an example of like acknowledging that yeah, you fucked up, but you're not gonna take it back. That's what I mean by that is you're not gonna try to hide it. And
Okay.
over time, he has been
Yeah, fair
improving.
enough.
Like me and him had beef for a while, but we resolved it amicably. That'd be an example of that.
Okay.
Other example would be the Liana K thing, and he just needs to do better with that. And like with the Leo Pirate thing, the reason why Leo Pirate was right in that debate was because Ralph didn't follow up on the story, and all it would take is a quick correction on the article, and boom, done.
Yeah. Okay. Fanfic time. Ralph purred into John's ears and held him close. Hey, baby cakes. He ran his fingers down his front and played his jeans with his jeans buttons. Oh, this is the one that we had before, but I think it continues. Okay. Hey, don't leave me out, Dan shouted, coming over. John threw down Ralph onto the bed, and they got into a 69, stripping one another beforehand, and got to work. You gotta like the prose on this. It's very descriptive. Ralph got up and ate Dan's ass. Dan ate John's ass, and it was a big train of ass eating. Ozfag watched in the corner, jacking off. They then told him to come over, and Dan put his peni in Oz's mouth. Ralph put his peni in his booty hole, and John put his peni in Oz's peenie hole. I'm not sure how that anatomically works, but sure. They organismed everywhere. The end. I think I read off Ralph with my gayness. Sad face. Oh no, whatever will I do? Oh, okay.
This is the most X-rated stream I've ever hosted.
Well, hopefully there'll be more in the future.
Maybe. Moving on from the current topic, let's go into another dispute that you and I have had, and I think you've had with a lot of other people, and that's your stance on people
Being nice?
Being nice, yes, and also
Being nice on the internet.
Being nice on the internet, and also your stand and part of that being your criticisms for GG Revolt and people who have been advocating GG Revolt on Twitter, etc.
Honestly, I have no idea about GG Revolt. I don't get into the whole image board thing. If someone says GG HQ is cancer, I'm just like, oh, okay, I have no idea. And someone's like, GG Revolt is the cancer of the cancer. I have no idea what to say about that because I don't go to any of those places.
Okay. Well, let's just stick to the being nice thing. Like, there's an image going around. I don't have the infographic available at hand.
Oh, is this the hilarious little meme that I've got? Because I saved that.
You're like, I think.
Hold on, Divisive Dan. Let's find it. Okay. Yes. You have been visited by the Let's Be Better guys memer of Gamergate. All of Gamergate will infight unless you post shoo shoo Divisive Dan in this thread. Okay,
that would be the criticism. There was also another infographic where basically it has a series of tweets you went on where you're basically saying, oh, well, you guys got to watch your messages and you got to make sure that you stick to this, that, and the other thing. And people got like...
Well, I haven't seen it because honestly, I know that some people have screen capped my tweets and taken them out of context. I think particularly when I was having a particularly low moment. And I think this guy got banned. I don't know. His name was I'm a Consumer. I think his @ was Gamergate7895 or some jumble of numbers. But
he's all right.
Like, yeah, I know he seemed to be. I'm not sure if he's on Twitter anymore. I couldn't find him the other day. But he was posting. He kept posting these screen caps of me feeling really bad, and he's like, oh yeah, well you felt bad this one time, and I just look at it and go, what is your point, man? Like, what are you trying to do? Like, how's this got anything to do with any kind of argument? But you're saying there's an infographic that's different to that? That's like some other thing that I've said, like a twit longer or whatever?
It wasn't a tweet longer. It was a series of tweets, and like I said, I don't have it available on hand. But let's just stick with the meme that you've developed. First off, what do you think of the people who are saying that basically you're this kind of I think the best way to phrase it was some people could regard you based on some of the things you said as some kind of wise, neutral figure that's basically judging how online discourse should take place and encouraging people to basically engage in soft censorship, where basically they police themselves.
Well, I don't know. Do you consider being nice to people censorship, or I don't know? I just see it as a way for society to work. If you and I think this breaks down quite easily when you're just like shooting text at other people putting their text on a screen. You know, it gets very antisocial very quickly.
True.
But people get very heated and they can't hear each other and they can't tell each other's tone. They take things the wrong way quite easily and it gets into a shouting match. But like, I don't know, I find generally if you want the things that you want, at some point you have to be nice to people. And I don't mean everyone, be nice to everyone. I mean, like, if someone says something critical about Gamergate, maybe don't send them 700 tweets telling them they're wrong. I mean, like, it's not harassment. Like, I think I will retract that. I think I might have said that was harassment at one point, or it was bullying. I might retract that. I'll say maybe it's not harassment or bullying. Maybe that's devaluing those words too much to say that, but it's unpleasant. It's unpleasant to be on the other side of lots of people shouting at you that you're wrong.
Right. Well,
so
my stance on this,
if you criticize Gamergate as being unpleasant, and then everyone shows up to say, "No, we're not unpleasant." If you, well, then you're not going to change their mind, and you're not going to change any of their friends' minds. It's going to further polarize the discussion, and I think that is a big problem. And I don't lay the blame squarely on Gamergate or any other particular group. I think that's just an internet thing that outrage patrols, outrage campaigns, outrage mobs. They just have a habit of forming. I think it's a human thing. You see something that upsets you on the internet, you have to rush to go tell them that you're upset, and you and I've done that quite a lot of times as well. You don't think, oh, actually, the 12 tweets that someone else has posted beforehand is probably enough to get across the message that we don't like this. Maybe they don't. You look at it. You look at a tweet that's fairly stupid or whatever, and then you look under it and it's got 200 replies from people saying, "Oh, what an idiot." Maybe you don't have to reply. That's not a hard and fast rule. It's just a pointer. Like, if you want people to listen to you, be nice to them. If you don't care, well, whatever.
Well, here's my stance on that.
I don't want Nazis to listen to me. I don't want One Direction fans to listen to me, which is why I troll the hell out of them. But
all right, well, here's my stance.
Yeah, if you want people to listen, be nice. That's it.
Well, I actually have I can agree to a point, but I'm going to have to say I mostly disagree with your stance there. When it comes to internet behavior, like, if you want to have your own personal set of etiquette and your own personal course of civility for yourself, that's perfectly fine. When you try to push that onto other people, that's when I raise some objections, because to me, you don't have to be nice. You just have to be civil, which means, like, respecting, like,
how would you change, like, what would you define civil as opposed to nice?
If someone's engaging with you on good faith, you treat them with good faith and kind. It's a civil course of action, I'd say. You don't have to, but that may or may not be more being nice. But unless you have good reason for, like, engaging in bad faith, you should generally be civil with the other person, and also respect their points and positions. Don't use a thought-terminating cliche if they ask you a question. If they raise an objection to something you said, raise it in kind, blah, blah, blah. But if there's someone who's known for acting in bad faith, or they're just directly acting in bad faith at you, then there's no reason why you shouldn't just take the piss out of them at that point. And as for Gamergate being seen as unpleasant, well, it isn't pleasant. It's a flame war. It's like, I'm advocating certain people need to be fired because they fucked up with their job. That's not a very nice thing to say. It's always going to come across as something that's bad. The PR angle just does not work. All it does is causes compromise in positions. And in particular, when it comes to this,
Yeah.
yeah, that's
So what do you like? What do you think would be what message do you think would be compromised if you were I don't know, like I'm not talking about talking to people like Leah Alexander and trying to convince her of your position. Like that's not going to happen because she's one of the people who are part of the problem, and she's dug her heels in, and she's not going to budge. But if you've got neutral people, you got normies out there who have no idea about it, and they might care about it, but only tangentially.
Yeah,
because they might be
Normies-
interested in free speech, or they might be interested in Gamergate because their friend is involved with Gamergate or something like that. If you want to, talk to them, if you want to be convincing to them, I feel like you got to, you just got to act like treat them like a human being. Like you don't have to be condescending to every single person you see tweet, "Oh, I don't like Gamergate." Like you don't have to be like, "Oh, why? Why is that?" And obviously, like that's just a question saying why. But like, if you're going to be aggressive, and especially if there's going to be like 500 people replying, "Hey, why don't you like Gamergate?" That's kind of intimidating. Like it's not necessarily nasty or whatever, but it's just like, what have I gotten into? I shouldn't have tweeted about this. And under that kind of situation, someone's likely going to lash out and they're going to look crazy, and people are going to be like, "Oh, well, they're a nasty person because they're being nasty now. Let's push their buttons," or whatever. And that can just turn into a big dump on like
the reason
like that
why
guy,
I add to, if I may,
that guy who did that thing, that dub, the guy who he wrote a Gamergate joke into a dub. I looked at it and thought, that's pretty dumb. I don't watch that show. I don't watch dubs of shows either. So like it was kind of like a, haha, check out this dude. Look at him. He's hilarious. But a lot of people very upset with him and ripping on him and not even just ripping on him like for one day. They continue the next day and the day after that. I think there's still someone yelling at him. I just don't get what the point of that is. Like, it has nothing to do with games, and I don't know. I get if you're a fan of dubs, you might be upset of that this dub was changed from the original thing to just insert this completely insane out of universe joke. But
well, let me just use that as an example.
I don't know. At some point,
when it comes to dub,
yeah,
let me just make my point. When it comes to the dub being mistranslated, it wasn't just a case of someone making a mistake or something like that. That was deliberately, maliciously done to change the content to something else. And as far as I'm concerned, that's a censorship issue. Like the people being
maliciously, I don't know. I don't think anything was taken out of the show. Like I look at the original line and I think, well, that's a bit of a nothing line, so I don't feel too strongly about it.
It's still a change of the content. Change of the content of the line of the show for no other reason than to push an agenda.
I suppose. Well, I don't know.
Is
it pushing agenda to make a joke though? I mean, obviously
Absolutely.
that person has those views, but like, are they putting the joke in there for other people with their own views to have a laugh, or are they trying to? I suppose are they trying to share the anti-Gamergate gospel? Like,
I say that it's irrelevant what the reason was for like. Oh, it's not completely irrelevant because I do think it shows malice there. It's not just a case of where he fucked up. But the problem is when you deliberately take someone else's word that you're translating, because your job as a translator is to take the content and put it into a form that other people can understand. Sometimes it does mean making localized changes for the sake of being understood. That's the exception, not the rule. What happened here was with that particular line, and yes, it was just one line. It was basically taking the original meaning of that quote, which I forget the exact quote itself, but it was basically referring to losers, and then they just substituted losers with Gamergate for no other reason than let's name drop this in here.
I don't think it had anything to do with like I don't think it was like a one-to-one translation and then they put in Gamergate. I think it was just a completely different line, something about like, how can you say this to me? Like I'm a superior student or something, or like I'm a senior student or something like that. I forget what it was, but it was like, the line was pretty unrelated to what came out in the dub.
Right.
And it's a pretty lazy joke,
but that's why people have reason to be upset by it. People
it's a bit of cringe.
Right. They're people, they're consumers, members of the public. A lot of these people have interest in anime or they have interest in dubs or whatever. It doesn't matter. They're members of the public. As a consumer, they have a right to voice their complaints against people who fuck up in the industry and make mistakes. Gaming or anime.
I suppose.
And
Like,
when you do that
I
and you
don't
have your name
understand
out there and you have a public avenue for contact, then you can't really complain when people say, hey, this is fucked up. I don't like this. And they're, even if they're mad, even if they're angry at you, so long as they're not doing anything like if they're sending death threats or whatever like that, like, actually say, I'm going to meet you at such and such place. I'm going to go ahead and kill you like that. No, it doesn't give you license to break the law, but that's the far extreme end of that. Like when you're talking about, as long as you're doing everything in a legal manner, your criticisms can be as harsh as you want. You can just take it. And the reason why they should just take it is because it's freaking Twitter. It's not an issue. I mean, take a look at the whole cyber violence thing. Anita and Zoe are complaining at the UN that people are telling them that they're liars and they suck. Well, it doesn't matter whether or not they're liars, which they are. And yes, and it doesn't matter whether or not they suck, which they do, particularly in Zoe's case, but that's another issue. But it's just Twitter. You can take all those messages, and Twitter has tools available that if you are such a sensitive soul that reading something and they're under 140 characters is going to make you upset, you can mute or block the person or whatever, or you can just read it and go about your day, because that's what makes you a better person, is being able to stand up to that sort of criticism.
Like, I've had influx of nasty messages at times, and I've responded to it poorly, and I've also responded to it okay. The okay times was when I think I forget what happened. Oh, that's right. I think I made an inflammatory comment about leaving Gamergate or something like that. I was just fed up with a lot of people, and I said, okay, screw it, I'm anti-Gamergate or something like that. And then after a couple of hours, Ralph came along and said, dot reply, every one of my followers look at this guy, sucked in, Dan, I knew you were trash, I always hated you, whatever, something like that. And then a bunch of his followers were coming in and talking. I'm like, okay, I'm just going to protect my account for now, so because I don't really want a whole bunch of messages from people being nasty. I've said I'll protect it for like a couple of hours, and then I'll turn it off. And now I don't know, if anyone's condescending to me or something on Twitter, I'm just like, I'm just going to mute you. Because
I've had a different approach
I don't feel like talking to you.
I've had a different approach to handling it. Like I said, I believe in listening to others. Like, that's part of free speech, because it's about the discourse and exchange of ideas. That's why I don't mute. I don't mute people. I don't block. I only have one account muted, and that's the spam account, and that's because it just floods the Gamergate hashtag with a whole bunch of nonsense. The Gamergate news account, which does anything but talks about spam accounts. They don't have a right to freedom of speech, as far as I'm concerned. But as far as anyone else goes, no, I don't mute people. I don't block people. The most I'll do is temporarily mute someone and then just get back to them, because honestly, I can't possibly. No, it's impractical to ask somebody to basically respond to every single thing that comes your way, especially if you're in a conversation with someone else, which is a mistake I've made where, I'll have an argument with one person and like 10 other people jump in. The solution there is just to argue with the one person and then maybe later address the other people if so inclined. But to me, like, I say controversial stuff a lot. Some things, sometimes I'll say things in devil's advocate just to see how people react, but I'm not gonna I'm not gonna complain about it if that happens. Like, for me, it's just part of social media, and it's part of free speech. It means that when you say something, you're opening up yourself to criticism, and when they come back to you, they're opening themselves up to criticism in kind.
I guess it's just like, not everything's a debate. Like, sometimes I'm just having a conversation with someone about my opinions, and then someone jumps in and says, "Do you have any evidence for that?" And it's like, what the hell are you talking about? I'm talking about my opinions. So, like, this isn't. I'm not trying to do some sort of hard scientific debate here. It's just
were you espousing a claim or was it an opinion? Like, there was a difference between the two. Like, okay.
I have no idea, but like, if it's like, it's not like they came in and said, "Well, actually, here's the facts." They just said. I don't know. It's just one of those combative things where, I don't know, I'm just talking to a friend and someone comes in and tries to make it like it's a debate condition thing, and I think, well, I don't know. I'm not really up to that conversation right now. I don't want to talk to you.
Well, yeah, that's I'll fully admit I'm very combative when it comes to Twitter. Like if someone said, like if I see someone says is stupid, I'll just be like, hey, well that was pretty dumb, and I'll generally give a reason why that was, depending on how it is. Or if someone comes to me and says and starts either talking smack or they just come to me and ask me a question or something like that, I'll engage them in kind. That's the way that's the way I view it. And to me, it's part of the it's part of the experience. And you're right, not everything is debate, but a lot of times people will make a statement and then someone will challenge them on it. I'm like, oh, I didn't mean to dispute this. I'm just espousing my opinion. But what? You can't just say you're espousing an opinion and expect that opinion to go unchallenged. I mean, like, what are you asking for? A safe space? I mean, that's...
Well, I don't know. I think they're just looking for a conversation. I mean, like, people use like Twitter for different things. Like, yeah, some people are going to use it as a debating platform. Fair enough. But like, if the other person doesn't want to debate, well, I don't know. You can't really force it.
Yeah, that's true. Like,
anyway, how long have we been talking? I think we said an hour, and it's been maybe... Has it been 2 hours or longer?
We're almost at the hour and a half mark. So,
okay. Well, would you like to finish up on any particular point, or keep going for a while?
Up to you. We can keep on talking. We can go for another. I'd say we should go, if you want. We can go for another half hour.
Honestly, I'm getting a bit tired. So I don't know. Is there anything else you'd like to finish up on? Like finish as a topic, or like just a one last point? I think I'm done talking, honestly. But like, do you have anything to say?
Oh, okay. In that case, last thing I want to bring up is what do you think what do you think of the KIA situation? Because I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I don't go there a lot. I used to go there when I was lurking a fair bit. Now, what do you mean by the situation? Like how it is in general right now, or what?
Okay. Quite recently, Seattle released a video about this.
Oh, is this Seattle for Truth? Okay.
Yes, Seattle for Truth. That one. He's he's a I'm just gonna flat out say it, he's a troll. That's not to mean that his opinions, he doesn't believe what he says. It just means that he does things deliberately to get a rise out of people. Some of his videos are good. Some of them are pretty shit. In his particular case, he released a video and he got fed up with someone who's basically, they did the, oh, well, your evidence isn't evidence because you need more evidence thing, the demand for impossible truth. And he was like, well, fuck you. You don't know what evidence is. Go kill yourself. And the mods got mad at him. They're like, oh, well, you better not say that. And so he just told that mod to go kill himself as well. And then he got banned for it. And he made a video about that, showing the hypocrisy. Like, okay, so you're telling people that, you're telling the UN that they shouldn't be enforcing the safe space policies, while in your own circles enforcing safe space policies. And this has further...
well, I don't know. I don't feel like anyone should have to listen to someone saying kill yourself. I mean, I don't know. Like, I have very little sympathy for Seattle right there. Like he's telling people to kill himself. Like, no one has to listen to that. Like, I don't care. It's,
the problem I have with
nobody's impinging on his free speech. He's able to say whatever he wants wherever he wants. He's just not allowed on that forum because he broke the rules. Well, I mean, the forum says follow these rules or you're gone, and he's gone. Like, yeah. I have no problem with that.
Well, the problem I have with it is the rules that they have in place. It's fine. Yes, Kotaku in Action has every right to put the rules they want. But the objection I have to the rules they're putting forth is that it comes down to a subjective view from the moderator, and that makes the rules inherently selective. So basically, some people can talk smack, and other people can't talk smack, depending on the situation, the context, and how the moderator feels that day. It's not an objection-based baseline for those rules.
Sorry, was the person banned for specifically saying something bad to a moderator, or repeated?
He violated Rule 1. Don't be a dickwolf. Which I find that rule, it needs, like, that rule is
subjective. You mean?
Yeah, it's a funny rule, but it's one that I don't think that a forum that specifically started in response to censorship of Reddit should be adopting. They should be allowed. They should allow everyone to talk about what they want. If you can't handle it, I think that they should be the ones to leave, not the other way around, because that's part of free speech. People talking smack.
I honestly don't care. I mean,
okay.
I think Seattle for Truth, his speech is not very valuable, and but he still has freedom. he still has freedom to say what he wants to say.
Well, I will say he does not have that
I don't think
freedom
being
on.
banned from a forum for telling people to kill themselves is bad. I don't think it's hypocritical, and I don't think it's infringing his free speech. I mean,
I'll say it is infringing. I will say it is infringing his free speech in that subreddit. Not
in the
hearing it,
subreddit,
but-
you know, subreddit's not a. It's not a. it's not life. It's
True.
It's like one subreddit on a website.
But
Yeah, I don't know.
yeah, I used to
I-
believe that. Yeah, I used to be of the mind that, like, you know, forums are just forums and it's not an issue. But I've changed my stance on that, because the more that people try to advocate for these little hug boxes and safe spaces, the more it becomes more widespread, and it moves the idea that certain types of speech need to be censored and controlled or contained in some way, and you shouldn't have it. And then we get people going higher ups to, like, Twitter and Facebook and other large platforms where you have millions of people using those places. And then they go ahead and they say, well, you have to follow these rules now, and you can't say that. And it's those limitations that it's not freedom of speech at that point. It's basically your speech is fettered, and you must watch your P's and Q's or you're out. And then it goes on to the government. It goes from the corporate scale to the government scale. And I think that's the point that Seattle was trying to make with that video.
I don't know. I feel like it's a bit of a beat up, a bit of a like it's a mountain out of a molehill. Being banned from a forum for telling people to kill themselves, including a mod, after the mod took issue with him for saying kill yourself. He tells the mod. I mean,
well,
I
yes,
don't know. He's asking for a ban at that point. I don't think it's a free speech issue, and I don't know. That's all I have to say.
All right.
Thank you very much for having me on this stream. I think people were. I think people are expecting a fight. I don't know what I was expecting. I just came on here to have a polite chat, as is the there's the title, polite conversation with Dan, and I think it was fairly polite.
Oh yeah, I may be
thanks for having me on here.
Yeah, I may be combative, but I'm willing to talk with anyone who's willing to listen. So it was cool having on, Dan, and I think it was a lot of fun. I hope to do this again, either with you or other people in the future. And peace out, everyone. Have a good day.
Bye-bye.